Am I the a-hole for telling my friend that she is an a-hole? My female 32 best childhood friend, 32, just became a lawyer and then dumped her boyfriend. My best friend and I grew up in poverty, and we had not much opportunities for an education. For young women in our area, our options were retail, substance dealing, selling our bodies, or hoping a rich guy would notice us. For guys, it was retail, substance dealing, or finding one of the few factory jobs remaining. I got lucky, managed to date a med student. He helped open doors for me, and I have become a teacher in a school in a lower socioeconomic area to provide those opportunities. My husband is now a doctor. My friend tried that option but was not as lucky. She was working minimum wage retail at age 25. While doing so, she got friendly with a factory worker, male 30, who came by regularly and they started dating. He knew he was not the academic type. School was not for him. But he also saw potential in my friend and encouraged her to go to school. She had dreams of becoming a criminal prosecutor, and he encouraged her to not give up. He took out whatever loan he could find so that she could get an education. He supported her through and through, did housework, worked extra shifts, everything so she could get an education. My friend persevered, graduated, and became a lawyer. Shortly after, she broke up with her boyfriend, just as he planned on proposing to her. She said that as a professional, she had no interest being married to a working-class man, and that she deserves a real man. I was horrified and told her that she's betraying a man who has supported her through all this. It made her what she is. She got mad and said that it is not a woman's job to pay the bills, and that I am a hypocrite because my husband makes a lot more than me. She further said that the idea of marriage as a life partnership is a patriarchal construct, that she has the right to date whomever she wants, and that as a feminist I should be supporting her. I told her that she is not only a major a-hole, she is giving the movement a bad name because it means women financially supporting their male partners as much as in the reverse. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She used him. This has nothing to do with the movement. She took his love, his graciousness, and led him to believe they had a future together, while bleeding him dry. She is a vampire. She does not have the requisite morality to be considered for your friendship, because you're a good person, and she's not. The good news is, she does have the requisite morality to be a lawyer. In other words, none. I disagree. I'm going to law school right now, and one of the big things that is emphasized is ethics and morality. I am horrified she's going to be a lawyer. Sadly, I think this is one of those areas of difference between theory and reality. If you think lawyers are all paragons of morality, you might have some harsh realizations in your future. Not the a-hole because you were right. That was an a-hole move on her part. The idea of a real man only being a breadwinner is very much not feminist. She's using the movement as a way to try to make her defenses seem untouchable, because then she can proclaim you aren't one and shut you down, when her behavior has nothing to do with the movement. Dumping him because she wants to ladder climb is extremely classist and cold-hearted. It really sounds like she just used him for his money, rather than actually enjoying the relationship or caring for him. Very sad that she felt it necessary to manipulate someone to survive, and even sadder for her poor ex being used like that. I'm just gonna say this to Opie. I pray stop being friends with her. She spent years with this man, took his money, love, support, used it, and tossed him aside when she was done. If she can do that to him, she can and most likely will do it to you. Also, this is a reach on my part, but keep a close eye on her behavior near your husband. It sounds like he's in her preferred tax bracket. Not stay home. Your ex-friend is a super witch and a user. I'd reach out and stay friends with her poor ex, and tell him he dodged an entitled a-hole bullet. I hope he finds a partner who actually loves him, though I guess he'll have trust issues for some time to come. Yeah, not sure how to help him. All you can do is let him know you are on his side and check in on him. Invite him to hang out with you and your husband/friend group, etc. You won't be able to fix this, but those things are still important. Next story. Am I the a-hole for being upset that my fiancé spent all of the money for my wedding dress and our future house? My fiancé, 27 male, and I, 25 female, are getting married soon. The wedding is in 2 months and we still have to get a wedding dress, and we're planning on moving into a house shortly after getting married. 2 weeks ago, my fiancé had his bachelor party. I come from a fairly wealthy family, so recently we received a generous monetary gift from my parents to go towards the wedding. and as an early wedding gift for any extra that we didn't spend. My fiancé and 10 of his friends went to Vegas for the party, but my fiancé and I had agreed on a $1,000 limit, not including hotel and plane fees. The day after the party, I received a call from the bank and found out that my fiancé spent the entire gift from my parents on gambling and lost all of it. This was disappointing because he has struggled with a gambling addiction in the past, but has been doing really good the past couple years. We had an argument about this when he got home, and he has been really upset with me because he says I should understand that he was struggling, and this will always be a temptation for him. I have no idea how we're going to pay for the wedding dress I'm supposed to get, much less contribute to the house, and I honestly have no idea what to do right now. He thinks I should just get a cheaper wedding dress, but I don't think I should have to because this is his fault, not mine. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but you need to screech brakes on the wedding. Gambling addict who still gambles? Absolutely do not tie yourself financially to this man. The fact that he blames you and saying you should understand that all of this would be a struggle for him? Unacceptable. Who on earth decided that a gambling addict should go to Vegas for a stag? And that's before we even get onto him being an a-hole for using up the wedding budget for something for him. Do not marry this man. Not an a-hole, but you need to reevaluate this whole thing. He clearly has an issue and a boundary issue as well. Why would he have access to money like that? Do you have a prenup? Have you discussed separate finances for everything? You cannot seriously marry him without protecting yourself and your family. It would be a huge mistake. What kind of crazy person is willing to marry a man who has told her up front that his gambling addiction will always come before her and their future? He has given her all the information she needs to call the whole thing off immediately. What is up with her hesitation? Why does she need internet strangers to point out she needs to reevaluate? Either this is fake, or Opie is a complete fool. And you know what they say about fools and their money. Why the heck would he choose Vegas when he has a gambling problem? Red flags. Freaking run. If he has been struggling, he shouldn't have gone to a gambling city. Not an a-hole, but if I were you, I would be buying a dress. I'd be rethinking the relationship. Whoa. The main sticking point is the dress? Like not the gambling addiction relapse or even the money for the house? Exactly. The last thought would be the dress and wedding. Addiction is unfortunately a battle for the rest of your life, and your significant other getting a trip to Las Vegas with his friends makes me think neither of you, you and his friends, are truly realizing how bad the situation truly is. Your significant other needs professional help ASAP before this addiction costs you all of your savings and a relationship. You're the a-hole for still going with the wedding. Red flags. He is not taking responsibility for what he did. You're going to screw yourself if you marry that dude. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for enforcing my house rules on my wife's brother? My male 30 brother-in-law, male 20 Sean, moved in with me and his sister after my father-in-law passed away a few months ago. He is the private type and keeps to himself. He goes out and never say where he's going or how long he'll be out. Eats at random times during the day. Wears AirPods while me and the kids are sitting with him. See, all of these are uncool behaviors and a bad influence on my children. I've already talked to Sean about certain house rules I have, and how he was violating them maybe because he didn't know. But now he knows and still nothing's changed. Last night he came home late at around 10 p.m. I wasn't thrilled with that because he knew the rules, but he said that he was an adult and I shouldn't be policing him. But it's not about that. It's about the fact that he's repeatedly disrespected the homeowner and rules. So I told him this. If you won't respect the rules, which are being home at 8, not eating at random times, and not using his electronics just like my kids aren't allowed when the family's gathered to spend time together. He ranted about how he was a child, my child, and called me unreasonable to treat him this way just because he lives under my roof. I told him it's not hard to show respect, really. But my wife went off asking what was wrong with me to be giving Sean, who's still grieving, ultimatums and treating him like a child. I explained to her that I'm just making sure the kids won't be influenced by her brother's reckless behavior. And she laughed, asking if I think Sean being on his phone was reckless. But that is besides the point. She called me a control freak and told me to get off her brother's back and leave him alone. I replied that she's just saying this because he's her brother, but she said I overstepped and should back off and stop trying to control her adult brother. I asked her if she was happy with him coming home late, and she said she was sick of arguing, then went upstairs. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Your wife is right. Why on earth should a 20-year-old have a curfew and have his eating time policed? Also, you made a unilateral decision about your wife's brother without even consulting your wife? You sound already like an overbearing parent, and this is towards an adult who isn't your kid. I feel horrible for your wife and kids. He is definitely the a-hole. The fact that he's treating his brother-in-law like he's one of his kids is ridiculous. And I very much agree with his wife 100%. Those children must fear this man. He is policing everything about their life. There is a difference between parenting and policing. What Opie is doing is going to lead a lot of anxiety and resentment on his children's part. Also, this will likely negatively impact his marriage. How will his wife feel when she knows she failed her brother when he needed her the most, and to know that it was because of her stubborn husband? Opie, you really need to reevaluate your views on parenting and as a partner, or it will likely come back and bite you in the butt in 10, maybe 20 years. Divorce or fractured marriage and alienated children will be likely in your future if you do not reevaluate and improve as a person. Try this parenting tactic. Hey kids, if you're wondering why Sean doesn't have to obey the rules that you do, it's because he's an adult and not my child. When you are an adult, you will get to come home later than 8 p.m. too. You're the a-hole. Yeah, how hard is it to explain that there are different standards for a grown man than there are for an elementary school-age kid? You're the a-hole. Giving an adult a curfew of 8 is insane, as is trying to dictate what he eats. Wearing AirPods at a table is rude, but I completely understand why he would want to tune you out, so he gets a pass on that. Why are you trying to parent a fully grown adult? I wouldn't call this parenting. 100% chance, this man also controls his children in unreasonable ways under the guise of respect. Last story. Am I the a-hole telling my sister that my fiancé has every right to hate her and my mom? I've been with my fiancé for nearly 6 years and we live together and we are happier than ever. My sister and my fiancé get along fairly well when they're in each other's presence, but my fiancé hates my sister and my mom as well, and I think her reasons are valid. My sister would always try to set me up with friends of hers, sisters of her friends or girls and women she was friendly with and liked. She didn't know my fiancé before I introduced her to my family, and when I spoke of dating my fiancé in the early stages, my sister was trying to convince me she was not a right fit for me. She hadn't even met her. My sister also tried to set me up with my ex-girl best friend. My girl best friend took advantage of that and tried to break off my relationship with my fiancé, but I cut her off immediately, which led to my sister calling me sensitive. Due to my sister's behavior, which makes my fiancé uncomfortable, they barely meet. Even when they do, my fiancé always try to be kind and keep a balance, but my sister will randomly bring up all the women she tried to set me up with, but failed because, well, he chose you instead of my friend and things like that. Another reason my fiancé hates my sister and my mom is because they're very nosy and controlling. They act jealous over my relationship to my fiancé. They always try to compete with her and guilt trip me if I show that I put my fiancé first. My mom is always throwing tantrums about how I'm replacing her with my fiancé, and how a mother should be the first priority in her kid's life, and that my fiancé could abandon me anytime. My sister also sides with my mom on this and claims my biological family, parents and siblings, come before anyone else, even my future wife. Due to some recent conflicts related to the issues mentioned above, my fiancé has chosen to keep her distance from my family for the sake of her mental health. My mom and sister ask why is that, and why my fiancé acts like she hates them, and that she's being ridiculous and unreasonable. I pointed out to my sister and my mom that my fiancé has the most valid reasons to dislike and hate them, because they've always provoked her, and try to compete with her while also trying to be controlling of our lives. Knowing my mom and sister, they immediately told my whole family. Now, several family members are calling me and my fiancé a-holes for treating my family like that, and how I'm an a-hole for justifying my fiancé's hatred towards my mom and sister. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Having had a nightmare ex-mother-in-law and sister-in-law in the past, you're doing wonderfully for standing up for your fiancé, who is being so unfairly treated. They are also treating you poorly by how they treat someone you love. Your mother and sister are horrid. I've known how horrid they are firsthand before I even got with my fiancé. I had taught myself to ignore their tactics, but watching them trying to actively hurt people that I love is crossing the line. You need to spend as little time around them as possible and block these other family members. If you knew they were toxic, why didn't you manage the relationships with your other family better? You knew your mom and sister were hella toxic and didn't manage/enlist/tell the rest of your family what was going on. You have not allowed your mother/sister to create the wrong narrative with the extended family. You're the a-hole for 1, not shutting your mom and sister down early, 2, subjecting your fiancé to their abuse, 3, not preemptively warning your extended family before your fiancé even wants low contact/no contact, 4, for throwing your fiancé under the bus by expressing how she feels after you allowed your family to abuse her, 5, for not putting your mother in her place. She didn't suddenly start expressing she could outrank even a wife. She's always expressed that. You probably thought it was funny. Now it's biting you in the butt. I confronted my husband about housework and he left me and I couldn't be happier. Original post. I am a mid-40s mother and the primary income earner for my family. For context, I earn 80% of the family's income. That's not something I care about in the abstract, but I also do the majority of the childcare and all the housework. That's all of it, inside, outside, and finances. My husband doesn't even take the bins out. It wasn't always this way. Or now that I think about it, perhaps it was, but I didn't always care. I have always earned more than my husband and worked longer hours, but when we married, neither gap was very big. I still did almost all the housework, but we lived in a smaller house with no garden, ate out a lot, and didn't have kids. So I guess there wasn't much to do. Also, I had more time, so I didn't mind putting on a podcast and running a cloth over the bathroom and the vacuum over the carpet on a Saturday morning while he played sports. Now we have a house, a garden, kids, pets, and a pool that he wanted, and somehow I am expected to do all the work associated with all of that, plus manage the finances and all the school-related stuff. My average weekend now consists of at least 5 hours of cleaning bathrooms in the kitchen, maintaining the garden, and even doing basic maintenance. He doesn't play sports anymore, but instead, he mainly sits there on his computer, ignoring me as I clean the house around him or try to wrangle the kids to do homework. Occasionally, he will graciously take the kids out so mom can get her work done. That work is the housework. I would love to take the kids out on the weekend too, but I am too busy using my few free hours to clean his filthy toilet and do the grocery shopping. I have tried talking to my husband many times over many years. After the first couple of times, he improved a little bit and then slipped back into old habits. Most recently, he shrugged and said that if I am so concerned, I should just pay someone to do it properly. By which I think he's pointing out that my standards aren't that great either. The house never looks nice no matter how hard I try. So a part of me thinks he's right, but then I would have a stranger in my house whom I would have to pay, cleaning up mostly his mess, which I, of course, would have to organize. Also, while someone coming in once a week may help with, say, the major cleaning jobs, it won't help with the bathroom after the kids get shower water all over the floor, with the endless laundry, with the lawn that never stops growing, with the spider in the pool, the dog poop on the grass, the leaking tap, the blown light bulb, or the fact that we are out of milk, etc. I guess what really annoys me, though, is the attitude. It's not just about the housework, not really. It's that this doesn't feel like a partnership. It's like he's opted out. Having formed the view that his income is pocket money in comparison to mine, it's not. It's a fifth of our income. He has started spending it like he is 12. Expensive clothing, every streaming service, lots of takeout food, which at least means I mainly just cook for the kids and myself now, concerts and games. He's also taking long breaks of leave without pay from work, which I wouldn't mind if he took it during school holidays or something, but he takes it during the working week and heads off to see friends interstate, play the latest computer game, or run lengthy gaming sessions, which invariably end up with dishes piled everywhere and me having to clean up after I get back from work. When I complain, he says things like, "Am I asking you to clean up?" I said I will get to it, and I will. But the times I have acquiesced and left it, we have ended up with dirty dishes piled up in the sink or in the rumpus room for days. When I didn't clean the guest bathroom after his friend stayed, he didn't do it either, and we got mold. This is all driving me insane. It's causing me to simmer with resentment and anger. It has completely turned me off from doing anything with my husband. Sex now feels like just another chore. I am almost to the point of divorce, which I know would have a terrible effect on the kids. But I honestly think I could do a better job looking after them if they didn't have another sibling in the shape of their father. I am also deeply worried about how our division of labor is affecting them and their perception of gender roles. My family, however, thinks I am crazy. My mother points out that my husband isn't violent or abusive, he's not aggressive or egotistical, and he doesn't mind that I earn more than him. If anything, he's proud of it, which she thinks is adorable. My parents think it is great that he'll take the kids out while I get the housework done, and even better that he never complains about how the house looks anyway, which is much better than a man who is demanding about that kind of thing. My parents also, subtly but definitely, point out that he was open-minded enough to date me. I have a disfigurement that turns most men off, and that it would be challenging to find another nice man if I left him. He does not care how I look. He's faithful, and he's nice, really nice. He loves the kids. He would never say anything nasty. They are right that the worst I can say about him is that he is lazy, and even that is only in a certain context. I know he is probably a much nicer, more likable person than me. I feel really judgmental and ungrateful and awful, frankly, that I care so much about this. But I just can't get past the resentment that he just won't help, and he thinks that's perfectly okay. I don't know what to do. I can't believe I am contemplating divorce over housework, but this has totally undermined our relationship. I am just so tired. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Your mother's ridiculously low standards are abhorrent. You deserve better. My mother points out that my husband isn't violent or abusive, he's not aggressive or egotistical, and he doesn't mind that I earn more than him. The bar is literally in hell. And she's wrong, because what her daughter's husband is doing is abusive behavior, and certainly seems egotistical. I outsource cleaning every other week. I told my spouse I was falling out of love and couldn't respect him being a lazy bum. It's not the 1950s. I wasn't signing up for being the maid and a fleshlight when he wanted sex. I was too tired and resentful, and it needed to change permanently. After years of my asking, years of half-hearted contribution. We now trade off cooking, and if I don't feel like it, I get takeout. But it took a blow-up of major proportion, and my telling him half the time what to cook. It improved, but got to the point that I was going to have him leave. Pieces of my heart died, and have not recovered that for years. It was half-assed 50s nonsense and I'm main breadwinner. Good luck. Pieces of my heart died and have not recovered. That's how I feel. I can see the good things still, but it's like looking at pasted together shattered pieces. Your parents and partner have undervalued you, and you deserve a partner who pulls their weight and carries their share of the load. If that isn't your husband, there will be someone else, or not if you prefer. You sound like a catch, because that happened to her. In her mind, having a man just exist within your space is the most valuable thing that he can offer. I don't think my parents undervalue me. They would just consider themselves very practical people who tell it like it is. I don't think they are wrong, but as other people have said, it doesn't matter anyway if I don't want to be remarried, which I certainly wouldn't if I left. You're right that I don't need a man to just exist in my presence. But it is nice to have one you care about, and to have that family, particularly when raising kids. Now for the update a year later. After years and years of fighting about housework, I gave my husband an ultimatum. Get his act together or leave. He left. I was not expecting that, but he said it was clear I didn't respect him, and he could never be with a woman who didn't respect him. He moved into the spare room for a few months, and then moved in with another woman. The speed with which that happened suggests the other woman was not a new thing, although he maintains that they were just friends prior to our separation. Apparently, she made a move as soon as he was free, or at least that's his story. My reaction? Whatever. When I met his new girlfriend, rather than feeling resentful or jealous, I wanted to hug her and thank her for taking him off my hands. Also, she's very pretty, which people seem to think should make me feel worse, but actually makes me feel better. A part of me is like, at least I kept him for a while despite the competition. The property settlement is a bit more tense. I have been the primary income earner and caregiver throughout the relationship, and I will continue to have primary care of the kids. He nonetheless asked for half of everything, citing his future needs and all. I don't know whether he was expecting me to fight or get angry, but I just agreed, put the house on the market, and sold the shares to give him half. We're working through some other stuff, mainly because of legal complexity rather than apportionment. I have moved into a 3-bedroom apartment with the kids, with a dog park down the block. No pool, no yard, food on the doorstep, and no need for a car. The kids and I have time to enjoy being together, and without Dad around, we can do our own thing. It's wonderful. I feel so guilty for feeling so good. He is the only man I have ever dated, the only man I have ever even kissed. After so many years of marriage, good times and bad, and our beautiful children, I keep thinking I should be hurt. I should cry or scream, or at least feel bad. But I actually feel relieved. Nothing but relieved. While I do feel bad for the kids, divorced parents are not ideal, and I have to deal with some passing guilt about that, but not enough to change my mind that this is the right decision. I know my reaction seems strange. Maybe there is something wrong with me. Maybe I was just never invested enough in this relationship to begin with. Maybe I don't really know how to love. But at least I now finally know happiness, and that's a wonderful thing. Now for the comments. Maybe you have already grieved what you wanted this relationship to be versus what it actually was. When a woman's fed up, I think you're right. It sounds like he did not respect you and the relationship ran its course. Congratulations! I went and read your post from a year ago about contemplating divorce, and I felt even happier for you. I decided on divorce as well, and it was finalized almost a year ago. He betrayed me terribly, and it has been a struggle because I was a stay-at-home mom for most of our marriage. Things have finally calmed down and become more settled and secure. I have a place to live with the kids and a good job. My kids are great people, and I love spending time with them. The biggest disappointment is just how much he has abandoned them. He almost never sees them and almost never calls. He chose to date and marry someone abroad, which has made it even harder to see them, but I'm grateful for the financial settlement and child support. However, I was just thinking yesterday about how, on a personal level, I don't pine for him. I am happy without him. I am so glad I chose to value myself. I am glad for me and glad for my kids, that they weren't put through the hell of a terrible marriage that would have been us if we had stayed together. You did it. I am so glad for you and your kids. It sounds like you're a sensible person, but just one thing. You have been lied to by your parents. You deserve so much more than they say. You deserve respect and to be treated well. I am so sorry to hear about your husband. That would be really hard. Mine would never abandon the kids. He loves them and spends time with them. He made some sounds about shared care. But ultimately, I think we both agree he can't really care for them full-time or anything, but he will play a very significant part in their lives. And yes, that post and the answers were part of what have gotten me here. Actually, the purpose of this post was to thank everyone, but I forgot that part. Oh well, I will say it here. Thank you, internet strangers. Next story. Update. My husband, 41 male, got fired for harassing a coworker and won't talk to me, 36 female, about it. Original post. My husband Charlie and I have been together for 10 years, married for 6. We've had our ups and downs but are currently in an up. He has never done anything like this in the past, so it came out of left field for me, and I'm very much shocked and at a loss here. Charlie is a computer programmer and was a senior engineer at his now former company, where he had worked for 4 years. He'd never had any trouble with coworkers, and we're both friendly with a few of them, mostly other men and their wives. On Friday of last week, he came home around 11 a.m. and told me he'd been fired. He was really upset and agitated, and I didn't want to push him about it, but he told me that they had said he was harassing a coworker and was fired. The information I've been able to get out of him: the coworker is Beth, a junior engineer who he's never mentioned to me before. He said she's terrible at her job. Beth slept with a senior engineer we are both friendly with, Darren. Darren wasn't involved in the harassment, wasn't fired, etc. The company's lawyers were there, and among the things they told him was that Beth could have pressed charges but chose not to. Something happened with her car, but he won't say what. His exact words were, "There was something with her car." He was escorted off the premises and is not allowed back in the building to get his belongings. Instead, he has to arrange with security to pick them up after business hours. As far as anything else goes, he won't give me any details. He isn't interested in seeing a lawyer because he says everything is legal. He has basically admitted to sending Beth some emails, but won't say what they said or anything like that. I don't know if Beth sleeping with Darren had anything to do with it, but the fact that he gave me that detail makes me think it does. I'm not sure how it relates. Darren is a very nice single man who is in his late 20s, approximately the same age as Beth. My mind is running wild here. Charlie has been depressed and withdrawn all weekend, won't talk to me about it, and won't talk much in general. I work remotely, so I was home all day with him, and he played video games all day and then went to bed at 6 p.m. The fact that he won't tell me anything and isn't interested in seeing a lawyer makes me think that it's bad and makes me worry that everything is true and not just a misunderstanding or a small thing blown out of proportion. He has never been flirtatious with other women or cruel to them, and he's never said anything bad about other women engineers he works with. I don't know what to do here. My instinct is to be supportive of my husband, but I don't know what kind of behavior I'd be supporting. I don't want to run to his co-workers we know and ask them, since they're more our friends than my friends, and while we spend time together at get-togethers or bars, I'm not close with them. In an immediate sense, I don't know what to do about helping someone who is so depressed and won't talk to me. Now for the top comments before reading the update. I would tell him you have to assume the worst if he won't be honest with you. I've got to say, he must have done bad things to be escorted off the premises, with no warning like that. Either he was hating on her and went over the top, or he tried to sleep with her and went over the top, or he tried to sleep with her and then hated on her. I've worked at larger companies, and when they fire people, sometimes they are walked right out of the building. The reasoning is they don't want the fired person to make a scene and rock the boat. It's heartless in my opinion, but it does happen. Something tells me OP's husband did something terrible because lawyers were there, and apparently the girl could have pressed charges. That is very unusual. My guess is OP's husband got jealous that Darren was sleeping with Beth and not him, as he had a crush on Beth for a while, and he flipped out and went all nice guy on her. He mentioned there are emails, so there is evidence in writing as well. This does not bode well for OP. Now for the update. My thread was locked before I was able to respond to any of the comments, but I was able to read them this morning. I got up at 5:30 to go to the gym before work, and my husband was still awake playing video games. I presented him with a very good idea someone suggested of sending me an email with the details, but I told him it wasn't acceptable to shut me out of this situation since it affects me too. His response was basically, "The paperwork is in my car, go get it if you want to read it." I asked him to go get it so we could look at it together, and he said, "You're going to believe what you want anyway." All of this is unusual for our marriage, because I'm a pretty patient person, I think. We went out to the car together, and he got in his car, handed me the papers, and left. For about 2 hours, I was panicked because I didn't know where he went, if he was okay, or if he was thinking of hurting himself. But his mother texted me at 9, saying he was over there and asking me what happened, if everything was okay, etc. His parents live about 15 minutes away, and I guess he told her he's going to be staying there. So, according to the paperwork, he sent her multiple harassing emails from anonymous email accounts. The emails are printed out and attached. He apparently did this while at work, and they had been monitoring his user account for 3 months. The emails aren't sexual or romantic in nature. They are all anonymous and about how she sucks at her job, wouldn't be there if she wasn't a woman, how she should quit before she gets fired, and how everyone in the office hates her. He made fake user accounts for his company's product that she works on and submitted bad reviews of her work. He also did this while logged in at work. He sent an anonymous email to her boss, saying that she was sleeping with a senior engineer on another project. He put a gun catalog on the windshield of her car. I don't know what this gesture means, but I obviously understand that it was meant to be threatening. Unfortunately, inside was a subscription card that the company autofilled with his name and address. She also says she has been harassed for the same length of time, about 3 months, on Twitter. He only logged into one Twitter account that harassed her at work, so they can only say one was him. All were telling her to quit her job. So, I don't know what to do now. This is all terrifying to me, and I feel so bad for this woman. I have no idea what this is all about. He works with other women engineers, and he has worked with male engineers who don't pull their weight, and he's never done anything like this. I would have bet $1 million that he'd never do anything like this. He's at his parents' right now, and I don't know what my next move here could possibly be. This is so scary and out of left field for me. Update. My 35 male mother's 58 female new fiancé 24 male wants me to call him Dad. How do I navigate this? Original post. Please buckle in because this is also weird. I'm a 35-year-old man, and for some backstory, my dad died when I was 19, leaving my mom with me and my 2 siblings. I'm the oldest. It took some time, but eventually my mom started dating again. We don't live together per se, but our houses back onto each other and have a gate, so it's pretty common for her to offer to do my laundry, for me to go over for dinner or to look after our dog, stuff like that. My siblings and I also go over there for dinner every other Friday night or so. A bit after she started dating, the men she was dating started getting younger and younger. I've never had a problem with this. She's been very open with me and my siblings that she wants to get married again, and we've always been supportive, at least after the initial shocks, lol. The latest guy is by far the most serious, and they've been dating since around last June. He proposed at the start of autumn and they wanted to get married next summer. Again, my siblings and I are fine with this because it's her life, and we trust him. He's a nice guy and they clearly love each other. Anyway, this weekend her fiancé, let's call him Phil, called me and asked if I could come over. I said, yeah, sure, I'll be over after work, assuming he needed help with some DIY stuff they're doing. When I got there, he called me Sport and said we needed to talk. I should mention that Phil does this thing where he calls me and my younger brother things like kid, sport, scout, little buddy, or my personal favorite, red and blue, seemingly out of nowhere. My brother is 30, by the way. He tried it with my little sister, 28, once and called her princess, but she just stared at him, and he stopped. The thing with Phil is that he reminds me a lot of Charlie Day's character in Horrible Bosses, and that his whole ambition has always been to meet a girl, get married, and have a family. When he told me and my brother this, my brother joked that our mom might come short on the last part. Phil got very upset, but they made up after. Anyway, I asked if my mom was around, and he said no. It was just him, and that we really need to talk man to man. I said sure, and he started talking about how he's always wanted to be a father and raise a son to call his own. Then he dropped this bombshell. Now, I know I can never replace your father, the man who made you, but it would mean the world to me if you could call me Dad. I'll admit it, I sniggered a little. Then I realized he was serious because he looked like he was about to cry. He didn't drop it either. I asked if he really meant it, and he got emotional, talking about what it means to be a man and how his purpose is to have and provide for a family. He said he wants me and my siblings to be part of that family.
He reiterated that he'll never replace my father, which rubbed me the wrong way, but he's ready to step up and be my dad and provide for and protect me and my siblings. I was just sitting there thinking, dude, I'm a decade older than you and live in a separate house. I don't need providing for. Even if I did, I don't think a guy a third my age who works part-time at the hardware store and collects manga is the man to do it. No offense to anyone into that. It's just, I don't know. I was a bit taken aback. I was in shock, so I just said, okay. He got emotional again, this time in a happy way, talking about how he wants to go camping or to a baseball game. I don't even like baseball, lol. He said he joined the Lions this year and wants to bring me into it as his boy. This all feels so surreal, especially because I'm 10 years older than this guy. I ended it by saying, this has gotten a bit too weird, and went home. He got very upset. I called my brother and he agreed it sounded weird AF. Later, my mom called me. She wasn't disappointed but admitted it had made Phil very upset and depressed. I told her that if he's embarrassed, he doesn't need to be. I get that he's excited about the marriage and we can laugh this off as a funny story. She said that wasn't what he was upset about. He, and she a little, is upset that he poured his heart out and I rejected him. She admitted it's a bit kooky but said this is how he proves to himself he's a man. I got a bit angry and said something like, first off, it's not my job to certify what's between his legs. This doesn't prove he's a man. It just proves he's a nut job. I apologized immediately, but she said she didn't want to hear it and hung up. She called me back 10 minutes later and we apologized. She begged me to just go along with it until he has some kids to call his own. She let slip that they plan to try IVF because she's not ready to give up on being a mom just yet. While I have my own thoughts about whether or not that's a good idea, I'm not here to litigate that. We finished the call fine. I reiterated that I'd support her, and she agreed it was definitely a stressful situation for me, but begged me to at least think about it. Which leads me to here. I've thought it over and obviously I'm going to say no. I had a dad, and he died. Rest in peace, Dad. That's the only dad I've ever needed, wanted, or will ever bestow that title on. I'm not asking if someone is being unreasonable or what I should do. I'm more asking what I should say. This clearly means a lot to Phil for some reason, and I deeply love my mom, so I want to minimize the damage, especially since we're still so involved in each other's lives and they live right behind me. How can I make it clear to them, as painlessly as possible, that I think this is weird and borderline offensive? I really don't want to rip the band-aid off because I fear what it might do to the family. Edit showed my brother the post and he laughed so hard he started coughing, lol. Then he said we should call Phil Dr. Phil and each other Blue and Red, swapping the nicknames he gave us around. Thoughts? Edit 2. As people were asking, he has no access to my mom's money or anything like that. She rents the house, which came pre-furnished and otherwise has no real assets. She doesn't make a lot of money anyway, so there's no pecuniary motive we can think of. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. I wonder if he grew up without a dad. He's giving a weird 1950s energy to this whole thing that feels like he only knows about dads from seeing them on TV. Oh no, his dad's still alive. Both his parents are. I've met them. They definitely feel odd about the whole situation, but go along with it for his sake. If it is so important to his personal identity to find a girl, have kids with her, and raise them as their dad, it seems like marrying a 58-year-old woman with adult children significantly older than himself is a pretty ineffective way to achieve those life goals. If it is so important to him, he should find someone his own age and make that happen the normal way. It's not your responsibility to make your mom's boy toy feel like a man. You're closer to being his much older brother than his son. Weird. This. Like, of course he feels like a child in this relationship and family. He's not going to feel like a man of the house in this situation. He's very unlikely to get his own child. So why is he sticking around? Me and my siblings all think he has issues talking to girls his own age. And so it led to this. You were downplaying your mother's behavior as well. If you'd cringe at the idea of a 58-year-old man dating a 24-year-old woman, you should be as disgusted by this situation. First update a week later. Anyway, I told both my siblings and we agreed we'd collectively put our foot down with Phil at our next family dinner next week, especially after an incident where Phil referred to my brother as sport and asked if he wanted to go see a baseball game with him. Admittedly, I was a bit spurred on by what you all said and got involved, pinging him back with, "Oh, no tickets from me, Daddy?" My brother responded with, "Daddy wants me all to himself." Hot. Phil took a few minutes to respond before saying he was shocked, speechless, and disgusted. He then messaged me privately to say he was utterly appalled and that he'd never disrespect his own father the way you boys did. At this point, I kind of lost it and said, "Right, and that's because you're not my father, Phil. You're a 24-year-old man-child dating my mother. You have no right to my respect, especially not to the respect a father gets." I immediately apologized, but then blocked his number and left a group chat. Apparently, he sent a similar message to my brother, who responded with more daddy jokes, and Phil ended up blocking him. Well, that aside, I don't think the family dinner is going ahead. After the original post blew up, it seems someone from his Lions Club found it and reported it to their chair or whatever. Phil has either been expelled or resigned, or is it in the process of one of the two? He has removed nearly all mentions of the Lions from his social media. His last post about it was a cryptic goodbye where he drones on about what it means to be a man in the modern day and the duty of fatherhood bestowed on all men at birth. Really weird stuff. My mom called me half in a panic and half in a rage about the stuff I'd been telling about him, before breaking down and saying we needed to meet. So we did, and I got my brother to come over too. I know Phil has temporarily moved back in with his parents in the next town over, but from my understanding, they still want to go ahead with the wedding, though I think that's mostly because they've already spent money on it. When she said she was determined to have more kids, plural, my brother stepped up and asked if she really thought that was a good idea at her age. I pointed out that assuming she had a baby next year and lived to 80, the kid still wouldn't have finished college by the time she passed. She stammered on about how people live longer these days before breaking down crying and admitting she's not ready to give up on mothering due to some deep-seated trauma and fears about the family breaking apart, which I won't go into for her sake. When we reassured her that we weren't going anywhere, she calmed down. We had a very good, honest conversation where she agreed to drop the IVF idea on the grounds that it'd be too expensive and unlikely to get greenlit. She's still adamant that it's scientifically possible and ethically acceptable, because she has to win that argument. But whatever. Instead, she's agreed to look into fostering. My brother and I highly doubt anything will ever come of that, so we're not worried anymore. The very good news is that she's also agreed to look into therapy/psychiatric help to deal with her trauma. We helped her get in touch with a nice lady in town so she can unpack all this in a healthier way. At least one person is getting the help they need. I have no idea what's happened with Phil or what's going to happen with him, but I made it clear to my mom that he is not my dad. He's not even my stepdad, and I'm not a kid. He's never going to be either one outside of legal technicalities. She relented pretty quickly. I think she's finally broken out of her shell at least, and we've agreed that if things go ahead, that's going to be a huge red line. I don't know if Phil will want to be friends with me after all this. Lol. Anyway, thanks for the help on the original post, y'all. Wait, so Phil ran home to his mommy and daddy? Great job, kiddos. Great update. Thank you. Is this a message from inside a sitcom somewhere? This cannot be real. You say that, but about 10 years ago, my mother-in-law was obsessed with adopting a little boy, 5 to 7 years old, if I recall correctly. She made it very clear that my, then mid-30s, husband would be just like a full brother to this child, and our daughter would have another uncle. Her harebrained idea was so completely absurd that I literally laughed out loud when she proclaimed her adoption plans to me. She incredulously asked, "What's so funny?" I said, for one, the fact that she would be in her very late 70s when that child became a legal adult. For two, our daughter would never call a child her age or younger uncle anything. Don't worry, my mother-in-law has since moved on from that to countless other ridiculous notions. Sigh. I love how Phil's craziness escalated the already crazy situation of a 58-year-old dating a 24-year-old. So much so that it's not even a part of the discussion anymore. What I'm not understanding is why nobody is focused on that. Like, this is not normal. Is Phil legally an adult? Yes. Should he be treated like a kid? No, because he's not close to being a kid anymore. But that still doesn't make this age gap okay. Like 24 and almost 60? If the genders were reversed, a lot of people would say this isn't right. And it's not right regardless of what gender Phil is. There is absolutely no way Opie's mom isn't taking advantage of Phil. Sorry, Opie, but this is just plain gross of her. Nobody with decency would date a 24-year-old when they're 2 years away from being 60. It's not fair to the younger partner. The older partner is likely going to die decades before them, and OP's mom is at an age where it would be plain selfish to have and raise a baby when there's a possibility she could die in the next decade. Let's be real, it's not uncommon for people to die in their 70s, or even in their 60s. Is 60 super old? No, but it's more than middle-aged, and at that age, you're literally a senior. OP's mom clearly has a lot of trauma causing her to act out. None of this is normal. And the fact that Phil is trying to parent a man an entire decade older than him is really freaking weird. It indicates that he has issues too. And obviously some deep insecurities about dating an older woman who has kids older than him. Second update. A bit of an update as I can't respond to everybody, but I think the marriage is off. Phil has gone AWOL again and had a huge argument with his family after they demanded he call off the wedding and date people his own age. This apparently made him snap. My mom and I have met his mom and older brother, who said Phil is very insecure about girls his own age and has never been able to talk to them, hence his preference. This deeply upset my mom, and after some begging from all of us, she has agreed to push the wedding back, though she still wants to keep dating him. I have no idea where Phil is, though his brother assumes he's couch surfing with his D&D friends. These friends have been sending me and my brothers some not so nice messages, because apparently we're just jealous of the MILF hunter. If any of you socially inept fools are reading this, I don't need to chase middle-aged folks, because I can talk to people my own age like a normal person. Peace. Last story. My 30 female husband 30 male acts like an old man. What are my options? Hi everyone, I need some advice. My husband and I have been together for 6 years, married for 3. And while I love him dearly, I'm starting to feel like I'm married to a 70-year-old man in a 30-year-old's body. He's got this boomer energy that is fully leaning into, and I don't know how to handle it. For example, he makes these painfully unfunny dad jokes to everyone, like telling the postman, "Hope there's no bills today, haha." The postman didn't even fake a laugh. He just stared at him. It's excruciating to witness, but my husband is so proud of himself for these little zingers. And then there's his bedtime schedule. If we're out past 9 p.m., he gets cranky and complains about how late it is. I'm 30, I still want to have fun sometimes. But nope, he's always asking if we can go home early because it's getting late or traffic will be bad tomorrow. I've tried telling him that it's only going to get harder to make and maintain friends as we get older, and that we should sacrifice staying out a little later if it means building social bonds and relationships. But he just brushes it off. I don't want to spend my whole life eating dinner at 5 p.m. and being in bed by 9. Is there a way to talk to him about this without making him feel bad or defensive? I love him and want to include him in things. Now for the advice. This whole situation can be avoided by you not seemingly relying on your husband to have fun. Go out with friends. Leave him at home in bed. Just don't do anything stupid when you're out. That's your option. OP, maybe he has trouble sleeping. Not enough sleep or has sleep apnea, so is tired early and trying to get more sleep. Very valid point. I acted like a cranky old lady at 19 because I was severely sleep deprived. Unfortunately, lost a lot of friendships before I got treated. I've got a CPAP now and it has genuinely changed my life. Married people don't have to do everything together. If you want to stay up later, stay up later. Don't want to have dinner at 5? Don't. Does he have to be up early for work or the gym before work? Is this a major personality shift? Because people aren't projects. It's not for him to change. It's for you to adapt. If you want to bring it up to him, make it less, you have boomer energy and are boring and make bad jokes. And more, hey, I know you like to go to bed early, but can we stay up later on Friday and Saturday nights and make one of those nights a date night and the other one more social? Partially agree, apart from the it's not for him to change, it's for you to adapt. They're spending their life together. Both should make an effort to reach a middle ground. That goes for everything. You can't expect one person to always adapt themselves for the other one. That won't work.